like this whole internet culture participation. There's a whole, I guess, language that they speak online that we also, it starts to cross into our everyday interactions as well. And as we are adults and we are susceptible to that, so are the children. Finding virtual community, especially with, you know, TikTok, where you're connected to like a wider range of the internet, and you can go to like the Discover page and you can find other people that think similar thoughts, or you know, you develop this connectedness to different ideologies. There's gaming rooms where kids can go, like Discord, they go and talk about their games, they play their games while they're physically talking to people, or like, you know, that's all, they find community online as well. Self-expression and identity exploration. This is a big one for like the middle school age range as well. Thinking about like Instagram especially, they don't use that one as much, but they still do this whenever you are using like Snapchat and TikTok, but they are really like kind of pursuing their own interests and doing it in a private way, because you know it's this little teeny screen on your phone. You're like kind of feeling out, they're kind of feeling out who they enjoy following, what their interests are. They curate a feed on their Instagram or their TikTok where they are identifying what they want to put out into the world, what they want to publish for their peers, who they want to be. It's a lot of self-exploration as well. So there's some good things that can come from social media. It's like the self-exploration aspect. It's like kind of like creating a mood board or like a goals, like a vision board of who they want to be based on their interests and who they want to put out into the world. So there's a couple of good things that do come from social media. There are a lot of concerning things as well. Okay, so this, I just feel like there's a lot of things that parents don't know about social media, or adolescents want to like slide under the rug and maybe make sure you're not aware of these things. So I use my little red flag emojis. They don't want them to know, they don't want you guys to know about their content consumption. Adolescents may not want their parents to know about the specific content they consume on social media. Maybe their ideologies don't align with yours. Maybe they're doing a little bit of self-exploration and it's a little embarrassing. They don't really know if that's what they agree with yet, and they want to kind of like feel it out online and see if that's something that sits well with them before they bring it to you guys to discuss. And there's always the inappropriate content that's just not age appropriate at all. Private messages. This one is like with them, their friends at school, maybe friends at other schools, maybe some strangers on the internet as well. This is why it's a red flag. Yeah, making sure that you guys have access to their direct message history would be good, just to make sure that they're not speaking to people that they shouldn't be speaking to, or people that are concerning. I have witnessed several adolescents throughout my years working with middle school age children have online friendships that often develops through like virtual gaming, or just like being connected on like TikTok, or just random people add you on Snapchat. Like you end up talking to these random people, developing a friendship with them, and this is obviously concerning for many reasons. Sometimes, infrequently, I would say it's harmless because there's other kids that are just like, you know, messing around and making friends, whatever. There could be kids, they could be telling the truth, but they could also not be telling the truth, and it could be concerning. And yeah, like I said, the experimentation, different personas, engaging in short-term trends or challenges. You know, they try on different little hats. Like when I was in middle school, I was probably like, I'm an emo kid, and like I was like, you know, trying on different things. If I had an Instagram feed, it'd probably be all like black and depressing. But like whenever I grew up, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not black and depressing. Like I'm not wearing black all the time. Like, so yes. FOMO, fear of missing out. Adolescent. This is a big thing that I hear about. A huge thing that I hear about. It is so, the discrepancy between like being plugged into the internet and being plugged into social media and not being plugged in for middle school especially is so straining for these kids. They desire it, they yearn for it so much because it really is like a culture that they're not plugged into. It's kind of like, just like as a thought experiment, like imagine if back when, way before cell phones and like the internet really existed, if we were all sitting at home, some people had landlines and you didn't. You come into work on Monday and you have no idea that this whole phone tree like happened over the weekend, And you're like, well, what's the big deal? Like, what's going on? Like, you have no idea what's going on, so you kind of feel disconnected. There's a disconnected feeling that they get as well. Cyberbullying or online conflicts. I'm sure that we've heard this a million times, but it's so true. They hesitate to bring things to you guys because they're afraid of getting in trouble, or they want to be able to handle it on their own. It can go several different ways. Self-esteem and body image issues. They might not want you guys to know that they are victims of comparison culture, where they are looking at these little model influencers that actually aren't even real people. That's all photoshopped, and their brain doesn't really get that, so they've got comparison culture. This is a big one too. I have most of the kids that I've talked to have a spam account, or a secret account, a secondary account, a Finsta, or like a spam talk, whatever they call it now, but they have more than one account. So you might think that you're friends with them on their only account. They got a second account probably. So a little bit about the more unique features of these specific, these are the two that the kids use the most, right? Snapchat, they have ephemeral messaging, chatting. Like, it will be there 1 second and then 24 hours later it'll be gone. So it's like impossible to get it back unless you have like the police like do their little special plug it into their computer and download all the data thing. Self-destructing photos and videos. Same thing as the messaging. Sharing the Snapchat stories so they can just be like out doing whatever, take a picture, post it on there. Everyone that they follow and everyone that follows them can see it. Video and voice calls, that's a feature that you thought was only a part of your phone plan, but actually it's through the app as well. There's a discover content section, which you always want to be like aware of, because sometimes it's based on your child's interests and things that they click on, and it can be like catered to that specific child, and it can dive them deeper into that specific interest that they have, because it's all that they are getting inundated with, and that it's like the For You page effect, like TikTok. Location sharing, this is the biggest one I feel like one of the biggest ones in Snapchat. Like, if I was to, and I've done this in the past where I mirrored my phone screen, we could see where in the Harbor Park building I was standing. It's not just like a general map. It's like you can see that I'm in the middle of the building in the library. It's very specific. They could figure, like, if they had their location on in Snapchat, they could see what specific house and maybe even like what section of the house like somebody was sitting in. This is all very concerning for parents. So I would definitely be logging into your child's Snapchat and ensuring that they are not having their public location on. Streaks, this is a weird concept. They just want to send each other a snap all day long, like, or once a day for forever and ever, and if they break the streak, then it's like you broke the friendship. It's like they take it so very seriously, but that's another feature that they really like about Snapchat. The group chats, you can get added into a group chat, leave the group chat, and get added back in a million times, over and over and over, and even if you don't want to see what's in that group chat, they will add you back in a million times just to harass you. So that's another feature of Snapchat that some kids like and some kids hate. Hidden and private stories. This is another feature where parents might not be aware that you can have a Snapchat account, have your child as a friend on your Snapchat account, and then they might have a hidden or private story that's only for their core group of best friends, or everyone in their school except for you, or maybe you're blocked from their main story. Like, they will post the most concerning stuff on the same Snapchat account, but you won't be able to see it on their story unless you go through their account to see what kind of hidden messages that they are putting out there. Third-party app hacks. Kids like to fall back on oh, well, they can't screenshot it because I'll know. Because, like, they think that they can send, like, petty messages or, like, like, dumb stuff that they will never have come back to haunt them. There are ways that people, because it does give you a notification if you're in the chat and you just, like, blatantly, like, screenshot it and send it out or something. But there are apps that you can download that will bypass that feature. So if someone's sending a not-so-savory picture, they have apps that will record that picture and they will take that and ruin people's lives with that. So This is something that I'm not sure kids really get the gravity of. You know, I always try to scare the crap out of them and tell them about this, but yeah, this is good for you guys to know as well. Friendship with unknown contacts. I can't tell you, I've never opened Snapchat. It's just not something that I use anymore. But I will go in there after not opening it for 6 months, and I'll have like random people that are trying to add me, and it says added from your contacts, added from search, added from QR code. I'm like, I don't know where my QR code is. Like, I'm not even opening this app. Like, where are you finding me? And if that's happened to me, I know it's happening to y'all's kids too, because that's the more sensitive population. TikTok. There's a whole Pandora's box with TikTok as well. User-generated content. So your kid might be posting videos, and it could be totally innocent, but it gives them access to a completely different world. Their videos are out there for anyone to consume as well. And also they can consume anyone's generated content as well. Of course, TikTok has guidelines, but sometimes they have to be posted and reported a million times before they get them videos that shouldn't be there taken down too. The For You page. This is something that I highly recommend. If you have a child that has TikTok, I highly recommend that you scroll your kids' For You page with them, or separately. Let them know that you're going to be checking in on them. I think it's important because, sorry, I'm seeing people I know. If you want to look into your child's brain space, it's kind of really messed up the way that TikTok does this, because they nitpick what your interests are. And then they curate this feed that's going to keep you scrolling and addicted and entertained. And if you want to picture inside of your kid's head and see what kind of media they're consuming, or what they're interested in, what they're spending time with, you got to go to their For You page and see what TikTok has data they have gathered. I've seen kids, I mean, in sessions we'll talk about, like, you know, body image and stuff like that. And if we're scrolling it, we're talking about social media, I said, open your For You page. Let's scroll and see what kind of media you're consuming, because I guarantee you this is not helpful for you. And you'll see pro-anorexia TikTok is a thing. There are sides of TikTok that are just marketed to children to influence them, or it's just a dangerous place for them to be. And it's a good way to get to know what is going on with your child in their brain. You don't need a large following to accidentally go viral. And that is like both awesome and terrible, because unless you want to be an influencer when you grow up, but your kid might do something embarrassing, record it, and post it on TikTok, and then all of a sudden it's hilarious. They become, you know, the face of like this new meme or something, and then there's a whole slew of events that could happen after that as well. This is also something. You don't need to have a large following to have an audience, because TikTok's algorithm has a way of blowing certain videos up that they find entertaining. So just something to be aware of. Exploration and discovery pages, like I said, if they have interests, they'll find them. They'll get marketed to. Same with TikTok accounts. And they also have messaging, sending, chatting on there as well. You'll send it to each other. They have groups. Lots of opportunities for connection through TikTok. Some additional media to be aware of on your adolescent's phone. Vault apps. If your kid has 2 calculators on their phone, one of them is not a calculator. You gotta look and click in all the apps and make sure that what they say it is. There are some calculator apps that you will open up, and so a Vault app contains like stuff that they don't want people to see, right? It is like having a diary or a lockbox that is like disguised. You don't want people to see what's in it, right? So you'll have the regular calculator app where it's in a settings, it's, you know, Apple or Google, whatever kind of phone you have. But then they'll also download another app that looks like a calculator from face value. You'll open it up. It'll still look like a calculator. But when you input a certain math equation or number series, they might have a whole slew of inappropriate content that is saved in this Vault app. They might even have a decoy code where they say, oh, I just put my ugly selfies in this, ha ha ha, and they'll use a different code and it'll go to that Vault app, but when actually there's another Vault app that has the real code, that has the real stuff that they don't want you to see. So there's a whole lot on that. I mean, that's another Pandora's box. I could talk about that for an hour. Decoy apps. Some apps on the phone appear as one thing, but in reality are disguised as a different version of it, or as a version of a different app. So my phone screen, I don't know, I was feeling spicy one day and I wanted to make it all like this theme of this like book that I really like. So like Harry Potter theme say, I can delete all my apps, download from Etsy these cute little buttons and make it all very aesthetic and like this very like curated screen. I can show you on my phone. And then it'll look, I could say it's Instagram, it'll have the Instagram logo, it'll say Instagram, I'll open it up, it's Snapchat, it's something else. You can make it link to a different app. It's very simple. If I can figure it out, I know your kids know how to do it already. Anonymous messaging apps like YOLO, Telenym, Whisper, or Yik Yak enable anonymous conversations and confessions. This can be based on your geographic location, so like it might be like in a 5-mile radius. Like somebody puts something out there and they say so-and-so has a big forehead or something, and then everyone comes to school and they're like, oh my god, who did that? Who said that? You know? Or they're like afraid it's them. They have no idea if it's about them, but they'll be afraid it's them. It just causes anxiety. You download that, you got more anxiety. I don't know. Anonymous feedback apps. This was a big one whenever we were in middle school as well. Apps like Saraha and Ask.fm. You'll see these posted on their Snapchat stories or their hidden messages or private messages. Their hidden stories, I mean, because they want to stir the pot. They'll use these to stir the pot, or like, basically you'll post it and you'll say, ask me a question, ask me anything, and then they'll get their like little annoying friends to come in, or like just peers that like want to like stir the pot. They'll ask them like, who's your crush, or something like that. And then it could also be like, why did you do this? Why did you backstab this person? It's just a breeding ground for like bad vibes. And they basically hurt their own feelings by downloading that, opening that avenue for people to like insult them anonymously, or stir the pot and get them in drama anonymously as well. Yeah, and these are the spam or fake account Finstas, fake Instagrams. I don't know what the word is for Snapchats. I'm sure they have a word. Just the TikTok accounts, they have spam accounts where they post like the content that either they don't want their parents to see, or they don't want the general public of their friend groups to see. Maybe they only want like their 4 best friends to see. They've got like ugly selfies. That's the most innocent thing that I've seen. But there's also some more concerning things where they're wearing, their little crop tops and they're doing their little dances, or like, I don't know, they're saying, like for guys, they might be saying like the most vulgar stuff, or like talking a bunch of crap about these people that are like, oh, you're a horrible football player, and like they're just like making fun of people. I've seen a trend where they'll like have like a bunch of things screenshotted, and they'll make this little like starter pack, and this was like a while ago, but like they'll screenshot a bunch of things that somebody in their school wears. They'll share it with their closest friend group, and then they'll like tease this person that's not even in the friend group about what they wear. They have no idea, but it's just mean, right? It's just stuff that they're using it for cyberbullying, basically. VPNs, virtual private network apps. If you think that if your parental control app has restrictions on like location or like just usage in general, they can download this VPN app and spoof it all and get away with doing whatever. So there are certain parental control apps that prevent that, because they would have to approve of every app that they download. But there are ways for them to download things and pretend like they aren't sitting like in somebody else's house that y'all don't know that they're at. That's also the location spoofing app. Like you'll say that like, oh, I'm going to Susie's house, and then actually they're going to Carter's house. Like, I don't know who these people are, but just concerning. You want to know where your kid is, right? But yeah, these are all things that are possible. And though I haven't used any of these myself, I'm sure that the kids, especially the ones that are like very tech savvy, they probably know how to get around it. Especially if they wanted to play their games. I'm saying this type of brother because he was kind of tech savvy. That's what he did. He would make like a little like portal, like a little VPN. I've seen it actually. They've made like whole websites where they can like, you think they're on Google Docs, and they're not. It sends to the parental control, oh, they spent a lot of time on Google Docs. Yeah, Mom, I was doing lots of homework. Actually, I was playing my video games and not doing anything productive. Live streaming platforms. I forgot to add one that I hear about kids in this building, outside of the building, using Omegle, chat roulette. No, 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 no. Unless you want them to see naked people, do not let them on there. I mean, obviously it's just a very inappropriate app. And it just connects to a bunch of creepy people. No go. This has happened at sleepovers.
Which one was that one?
Omegle.
I can't even think of how to spell that.
OMEGLE. Or is there's another E in there?
ELE.
Yeah. It'll come up. Yeah.
Okay.
And chat roulette.
I got chat.
It's straight up what it sounds like. Like you press the space bar and it'll give you a random person that's also on the app. Space bar, random person that's on the app. That one's scary, and I've seen people locally that have been using it. They're doing it for, giggles or whatever, but it's dangerous. They're doing it at sleepovers, they're doing it hanging out with their friends, they're doing it, yeah. And then, games with chat features. I've heard many a profanity listening to people play video games, and they get real mad about it, but you'll start to find that they have a different persona whenever they're playing those video games. They're all hyped up and they're angry and they're saying lots of things. And you might think that it shuts off after that. It kind of lives in their brain though. It comes out in other ways as well. There's a lot of anger and a lot of frustration and inappropriate content that they get exposed to through those, and sometimes they can be playing with older people too. So good things to be aware of. So some action items: setting ground rules, establish clear guidelines for social media usage, discuss rules regarding appropriate content, privacy settings, and screen time limits. Consider establishing a parent-teen agreement, including consequences, and do not go soft. Make sure that you have open communication. Make sure they understand. They agree to this and they agree to that. You can offer rewards, but don't forget to offer consequences as well, because I think that sometimes the way that their developing adolescent brain works, they think, oh, that'll never happen to me, but it might. Review privacy settings. Work with your adolescent to configure the privacy settings on their social media accounts. Ensure that they understand how to control who can see their content and who they can interact with. Using a parental control app, and I have a list of some of those in a later slide. It'll monitor their usage. They've got, some of them are built in, like the iPhones have something built in. It's not foolproof, but it's better than nothing. But lots of times they cost money. And open communication. I think the biggest thing that is going to be effective is to have continuous open and non-judgmental conversations about social media use. Asking them to have conversations with you and get to know how they are using social media, how they view social media. And if they say something that makes you uncomfortable, maybe don't bristle at that conversation. I think that's important because they'll sense you're bristling and they'll be like, well, I'm never going down that road again. I'm not talking about that with them ever again. And it's hard not to bristle. But we got to lean into it, because I think if you get the bristle, you're getting the honesty and you're getting the door opening for them to tell you something that's going to be uncomfortable, but you need that uncomfortability or else you're not making any headway with them or the progress with them. There was something else I wanted to say here, but I can't remember what it was. It's gone. It'll come to me. Follow or be friends. Yes, they can find ways around that, but I do think it's important that you follow or be friends with them. Just to see what they're putting out that they're allowing you to see as well. That's also interesting. And if you see things on there that make you bristle, you can kind of get a little bit more trust in the fact that okay, maybe they're pushing my limit a little bit, but it could mean that maybe they don't have the fact that they don't have a squeaky clean track record here, maybe that means that they're not hiding a lot of things from you as well. Maybe they don't have a whole other spam account because they're making me bristle a little bit, but I'll take it over having a complete wall up with communication. Regularly checking in, periodically reviewing their social media activity together, or just let them know that you're gonna be doing this. Don't let them know what time, how regularly they're going to be doing it. I would say make sure you catch them off guard a little bit, just because they might go in and start deleting stuff or hiding stuff, We've all been teenagers, Another thing that I think is important is a friend or follower review. It's tedious, but it could reveal a lot about who they're adding, what kinds of people they're hanging with, who's friends and not friends anymore. Kids are petty. If they got beef with somebody, they're gonna unfollow them. You're gonna be like, why aren't you friends with so-and-so anymore? Be like, well, here's the tea. You might find out a lot. Review app and browsing history. You can very easily see browsing history. You can also, it's like if you go into like Snapchat or TikTok, you'll click and you can see like what their recent searches are. And I think that is very informative for getting a picture into their mind of like what they're thinking about, what they're searching for, what they want to see. And staying informed, coming to things like this, seeking opportunities to be up to date, maybe just literally downloading all of the social media apps that they have and screwing around with them yourself and like kind of like feeling it around, figuring it out, seeing where the red flags are yourself. So here's some parental controls. Norton Family, that one works for iOS and Android. Family Link by Google. Screen Time, that's the one that is built into Apple phones. Yeah, I'll let you guys take a photo of that one. Now, because I do not yet have children, I have not personally used these, but I know, Harper, you have used some of them. So if you have questions. In doing my research, if I had it, where did my little pictures go? If I did have a kid who was a teenager and he had a phone, I would probably consider Bark. I like the idea of Bark. They've got a lot of cool features. Of course, it's more expensive than some of the free ones, but I like the ability to like monitor and get a report back of what they've been doing. Yeah, and that's my presentation. If we have, I don't even know what time it is.
10:35. 9:36.
If there's a way I can get on my phone and mirror it, I don't know if we have that ability right now. In years past, I have mirrored my phone screen to kind of click around and show you what I like, just some things about like Snapchat or TikTok, things that you guys might not know exists. So maybe we'll play around here for a minute and see if we can figure it out. But if you guys have any questions or anything you want to discuss, I would love to take some questions. Hi.